Cool, excellent. Yes, Instagram. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just by way of kick-off on this, just a quick show of hands. How many are using Instagram at the moment, just on an organic basis, no paid element for their brands? Okay, interesting. And of you guys, how many are running paid campaigns in support of that? Okay, very few. Okay, interesting. I'll circle back to those numbers in a couple of minutes, just by way of context to some of the statistics that I throw up here. Quick introduction. Myself, I'm Marketing Director for Europe, Middle East and Asia for AdRoll. Prior to joining AdRoll, I spent a number of years working in the iGaming sector. I worked with Mr. Green for 3 years. So I've soldiered in the trenches, I know the sector, and I think in the context of this presentation, it allows me to bring a lot of sectoral insight and knowledge, which I think is important in speaking with this audience. In the deck, there's a lot of visual references to the retail sector, but I also caveat that with examples in relation to the gaming sector. So that's important, just given the volume of campaigns that are running there at the moment. AdRoll, a little bit about us and what we do, because I'm sure very few of you, if any of you, have ever heard of us as an operator. We're a full funnel performance marketing platform. So we work with thousands of clients around the world to attract, convert and grow their customer base. We work cross-device, we work cross-platform. We have a range of products in prospecting, retargeting and eCRM. So we offer the full solution when it comes to performance marketing. We're also agnostic, which means we're an impartial voice in a sea of activity. So when it comes to the likes of Google, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, we're premium partners for each of those operators. In fact, with Instagram, we were one of the first partners to be accredited with their certification to be able to go and run campaigns. We've been running campaigns with those guys for about 15 months now, so we have a lot of knowledge in terms of how it's performing as a platform, what's working well, what's not, and some insights which I'm going to share with you guys here today. So a little bit in terms of where Instagram is at the moment by way of the numbers. Last June, it passed a pretty significant milestone, 500 monthly unique users, which is pretty impressive when you put it in the context that at the same time, Twitter was just at 320 million, despite having the head start of a couple of years on it, a good few years in fact. And while Facebook is racing off into the horizon there in terms of its numbers approaching the billion, it's interesting to note that at the same stage of its development, Facebook was nowhere near the numbers that Instagram is at the moment. Now you can look at that two ways. One, that Facebook was blazing a trail where they had no real reference point. It was much harder. They were building the social story in of itself. The other way you can look at it is Instagram is operating in a much, much more competitive landscape, and in fact it's a little bit harder to get to those numbers. So I think it's a little bit of both, but either way, it's a very, very impressive set of numbers. And as a platform, I think this speaks for itself in terms of why you should be considering it. In terms of who's using it at the moment, I asked for that show of hands earlier in terms of who's using it from a paid perspective. The numbers in this room were quite small, and based on our mix of clients by vertical, it's quite small for the gaming sector as well. So we have a reference point in terms of where that is globally, and at the moment it's 93% of marketers across all verticals worldwide are using Facebook on a paid basis. No real surprise in that number. It is the established go-to social platform for paid advertising. But the interesting point here is that for Instagram, it's only 36%. So the message being that there's still huge opportunity in terms of advertising on Instagram, plenty room on the boat, plenty room in terms of getting some really competitive CPAs, lifetime values coming out of that as well. So it's a huge, huge opportunity, and I just wanted to frame that by way of this slide. And the good news when it comes to Instagram is that when it, in terms of getting up and running, once you have a good set of photography, you're at a really good starting point. That's a little bit of an overly simplistic view on it, but I'm saying that in the context of engagement when you look at two numbers up here on the screen. 32% on the left-hand side is the number of Facebook users who are engaged with brands on a regular basis. 68% is the number who are engaged with Instagram content on a regular basis in relation to brands, and that's a piece of research that Self-Starter have done. And there's two key reasons for that. The first one is Facebook is a platform where people go to look at pictures of other people and what they're doing. Instagram is a platform where people go to look at pictures of everything. So the challenge has always been with Facebook to interrupt that conversation, that social interaction between friends, whether it be on what they're doing in terms of sharing photos or content base. Huge challenge, and it's reflected in that number at 32%. As I said, on the other side, Instagram is a platform where people go to look at pictures of everything. So again, much more engaged users, reflected in that figure of 68%. Another interesting point in relation to the Instagram versus Facebook piece, and the reason I'm using the two of them as a counterpoint to each other is Facebook is the definitive reference point when it comes to social. It is the behemoth. It is the one that's trailed the blaze. So I think it's very apt that we use that as a reference point here. The other point I wanted to make is that, as I said, when you put your hand up to get involved in social media, always in the back of your mind is that curation piece. Whether by design or not, when you step into the social space, you are opening yourself up for having it as a channel where your customers, your followers will engage with you. They will use it as an escalation point for questions, complaints, inquiries, and you don't set the tone on this, they do. So that's always in the back of the people's mind, especially when it comes to a Facebook or a Twitter presence. And it does sometimes colour people's view in terms of going onto them. You don't necessarily have that challenge with Instagram, and if you do, it's at a much lower level, again because of those numbers related to engagement. So that's another really important point. If you look at the average order value for Instagram versus Facebook in terms of the retail sector, you'll see that average order value for Instagram, $65, Facebook, $55. We've run some numbers on the iGaming sector. We have a number of clients running campaigns. I can't divulge actual amounts, but what I can tell you is that what we're getting on Facebook, we're seeing a premium of approximately 20% above that in terms of lifetime values for players coming in through Instagram. So that's a really interesting benchmark that we're seeing at the moment. As I said, I can't divulge the exact number, but that's where we're at. So where are these users? What do they look like? What's a profile? Well, it's no surprise that it's very mobile driven. And in terms of the demographic, again, no real surprise that a big chunk of it is in the millennial and the Generation Xer group. But the really interesting thing when it comes to Instagram is this whole area over here, if you can see it. The baby boomers. The drop off between Generation Xers and millennials into the baby boomers is much less pronounced than you have with other channels. And one of the key reasons for that is the usability of Instagram. It's a very intuitive platform. Your ability to go on from a starting point and be up and running and posting is much easier than it is compared to the likes of Twitter and Facebook. So that's driving a lot of those statistics there in terms of that smaller drop, and that's growing as well. So for people in this room, in terms of their targeting and where they're putting campaign focus on, that's a really interesting point to bear in mind. So there's two other sections to this presentation that I'm going to bring you through. One is having a look at the paid element of it, why you should be considering Instagram as part of your marketing stack and your paid media. And then there's another section in terms of focus on organic posts and growing your following. The first piece I'm going to talk about is that paid ad element of it. And I think a good starting point here is just to take a quick look at an Instagram ad. On the face of it, it looks very similar to an Instagram post. On the left-hand side, you have the your name, or the advertiser's name in this instance. You got the like counter, you got the caption, which is maxing out at 300 characters. Recommended size there is about 150 characters. It's on the right-hand side where things change. You've got the disclosure button up in the top right-hand corner where it says sponsored, which is on every single paid post, and you need that for disclosure on Instagram. You've got the image, which is linked. So a double tap is a like, a single tap brings you through to your conversion page. And you've got the call to action button, which gives you a choice of 6 different call to actions. Install now, learn more, sign up, download, book now, etc. So what are the benefits of Instagram ads? Well, the first one is in the context of how I've laid out the anatomy of an Instagram ad. And it's this point here. It's native inventory, so it takes the form and function of the platform that it's in, and that's really important. So while it might vary in size, it's always going to be incorporated into what you're seeing. And bringing that point on a little bit more, we said just a few moments ago, that Instagram posts look very, very similar to Instagram ads. And on Instagram, you only ever see one post on your feed at any single time. So in essence, you only see one ad at a time. You have 100% share of voice, which, if you'll excuse the pun, gives you the opportunity to make a really, really strong impression when it comes to your activity. So that's a really, really important point, and the first point to talk about. Second point is that you have the ability, this benefit is specific to Instagram because we're not comparing like with like in terms of other channels. With the paid advertising element, you have the opportunity to drive traffic to your page for conversion. You can't include a URL in your caption, so the opportunity to drive conversions comes through the paid option. It's cross-device, so anybody who you engage with on desktop, you have the opportunity to retarget on mobile on Instagram. You've got huge reach beyond the organic piece as well. I mentioned the figure earlier, 500 million highly engaged global users. Just to give you a sense of that engagement and reach, they're posting 80 million photos and making over 3.5 billion likes per day. So the numbers are absolutely huge. And ultimately, Instagram is a Facebook product. So all the great targeting opportunities that you have in Facebook and that everybody is familiar with, you have the very same on Instagram. So your ability to target based on location, based on interest, based on age, build out lookalike audiences, all of that exists on Instagram as well, which I think is a really, really important point because, again, Facebook is the benchmark and have proved the model in terms of paid social advertising. You have this interesting piece of collateral as well, the carousel ad unit on Instagram, which gives you the opportunity to showcase more than one image as part of your ad. You can use it to share a narrative or to showcase multiple different products or benefits. So for example, as an affiliate, you're pushing a specific iGaming partner or a specific game. You can use the carousel ad to highlight pay lines on a new game. You can use it to highlight offers from multiple brands, or you can use it with regard to one offer and maybe talking about the 3 steps to conversion. So you have huge opportunity in terms of the carousel ad unit, which I think is a really, really important point to make in the context of this vertical because you can do so much with it. You've got your call to action buttons as well, which again set up for this space. I mentioned earlier, you've got these 3 here. You've got the likes of download now if you're pushing app downloads for a partner. And you've a lot of things that we've taken over the last number of months in terms of campaigns and best practice when it comes to the Instagram advertising space. And I'm going to just spend a few moments just to talk to you about it. Most of the stuff I'm going to talk about in this section is quite intuitive, but sometimes the most important things are the intuitive pieces. And the stuff we talk about here is based on our own experience working with clients in terms of what works, what doesn't work, and some of the traps that they fall into. First one is to make sure that you have a mobile-friendly destination page. You saw earlier when I put up the numbers how mobile-driven Instagram as a channel is. So you've got to have that front and center when you're looking at driving conversions through paid advertising for Instagram. Really important. Seems very simple at face value, but you have to keep that in mind. And again, you take this example, you look at clicking on the page, clicking through, you're brought through to a number of different options. I know it's a retail example. The equivalent in terms of the affiliate sector is you have one leading offer and you click through to 6 or 7 different brand offers. We know in our heart of hearts when it comes to UX, limiting the number of clicks, keeping the user experience as tight as possible is going to increase your conversion rate. So again, take it back a step, have that mobile friendly page, build a story from the first page to the last page. If you're talking about a specific offer, link through to that offer, have the 3 steps for conversion thereafter, think about it and make sure it's mobile friendly. Use the CTA buttons, and I suppose not necessarily just using the CTA buttons, but make sure they are aligned to your campaign objective. So you have the option around download now. So again, if you're driving app installations for a partner, make sure you're aligned with your call to action button. Same with the sign up button. If you're looking at conversions and deposits, you need to be making sure that it's aligned with the call to action button in terms of the caption and visual that you're using. And align your campaigns. This is important in the context if you're running campaigns across multiple platforms. There is no point in going out with 3 different offers over 3 different platforms for a couple of different reasons. 1, it's difficult to optimize your campaigns. 2, you're sending out mixed messages. So really, really important that when you're running, whether you're running on Facebook and Instagram or other channels as well, keep your campaigns consistent. And use that carousel ad unit. I think when it comes to the iGaming sector, I think this is the point that I think is most relevant here, and the one that gives you the greatest opportunity in terms of really using the photography, the narrative, the support you have from your from your brand partners to be able to really make this pay for you. I spoke about the example of using pay lines in specific games, talking about a couple of different offers, maybe even using the 3-step for conversion as your narrative across the carousel ad unit. Tease with a new game launch by showing just a small cross-section of it and then building out the narrative from there. There's so many different opportunities when it comes to the carousel ad unit. The message is just do keep it in mind. And when it comes to creative best practice, there's a couple of things I just wanted to touch on here. The one is to focus on the craft, and I mean that in the context of making sure that you take your time, you think about things when it comes to photography. We're not advocating you go out and take photography courses, because ultimately 90% of every photo posted on Instagram is from a smartphone. But those who do well are the ones who think about it. They spend a little bit of time, they look at what they're doing, they think about what they're doing, and that's a key message. And it's almost related to the second point when we talk about A/B testing. A/B testing, and I know firsthand how difficult it is to actually go and really execute on A/B testing and be true to that form. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of discipline, but if there was ever a channel that really sets you up to succeed when it comes to A/B testing, it is definitely Instagram, with your ability to swap out different photography, talk about different narratives with your photography, and just keep changing it up to see what's working for you. Look at what other brands are doing, look at what everybody else in your sector is doing, and take cues from that, and focus on the craft, and use that to A/B test successfully. You'll be surprised at how it helps improve your conversions. And refresh your creative. So beyond doing the A/B test in terms of honing what you're trying to do within a specific campaign, update your creative beyond that in terms of focusing on different offers, focusing on different games, focusing on different brands. Do all of those things and keep it fresh. And capture them with a caption. It's again quite an obvious point, but sometimes people get so caught up on the photography element of Instagram and get carried away with that. They sometimes forget about the heavy lifting that needs to be done when it comes to writing an effective caption and linking that to your photo. So just don't forget that. It's an important element. So just a quick summary in terms of the things that you need to be looking at when it comes to best practice. Making sure that your landing page is mobile friendly is really, really important, given the majority of people on Instagram are on mobile. Use the call to action buttons and align them with your campaign. Align your campaign across channels so you have that consistent message across Facebook, display, Instagram. And encourage swiping through with your carousel ad units. If you're using the carousel ad units, reference it in the caption so that people can see the full story. Align your creative with your goals. So again, if you are looking to drive conversions, your photography needs to be based on that. If you're looking to drive engagement, again, you're going to have quite a different focus in terms of your photography. Similarly with downloads. Keep your ads branded, really, really important. So beyond the button you're going to have to say it's a sponsored ad or your brand name, make sure that you are looking to build your brand into your ad units, whether it be in your caption, whether it be in the photography itself, and it doesn't have to be blatant, but again, just keep thinking about that as well. Focus on the craft, again, to the point of making sure that you think about the photography that you're taking or having somebody take, or what you're getting from a partner in terms of what they're supplying you with. A/B test, refresh your creative quite regularly, and capture users with a caption. Again, to that point of not getting so caught up in the photography element of it that you forget about using your captions. So we've spoken quite a lot about what you need to do and what you need to think about and why you should be looking at Instagram from a paid perspective. I want to wrap this whole session up by talking for a couple of moments on organic engagement. What drives engagement? What are the things you can think about when you're looking to try and build your own profile in terms of building it out, driving engagement, and really building that aggregator effect around. I've summarized this in five tips, and I'm going to talk through each of them. And they're quite intuitive, but really important to keep these front of mind when you are posting on Instagram. And the first one is to post consistently and strategically. So you're building a narrative when you're posting on Instagram, so make sure that you're building on what you've posted before. Avoid trying to jump around onto too many different teams, too many different brands. Try focus on your own brand and build out from that. Use hashtags wisely. So again, you see this an awful lot, not only in Instagram but in a lot of other channels as well, that people trying to get caught up in their own hashtags specific to their own brands. And unless you are a big brand, a William Hill, a Bet365, it's going to be very difficult for you to try and get any traction with your own hashtag. So you kind of have to think about what's happening out there in the market, how you can piggyback on that. So it can be a huge opportunity if you do it and you do it effectively. So take, for example, Valentine's coming up next week. There's going to be a lot of activity in Instagram around this area with a lot of hashtags popping up. Are there games, brands, specific offers you want to push specific to that? If you're using Instagram, the opportunity is to piggyback on some of those hashtags that are going to be out there to bring people towards your own account. And interact. Encourage people to post and tag them. So again, if it's somebody who is running, playing on one of your partner brand platforms, and you've engaged with them, encourage them to post their activity there and tag them. So that's an important point as well. And host contests and giveaways. A lot of affiliates are very good at this in Facebook. So take that, apply it to Instagram, because you will get huge engagement here as well. And it gives you that opportunity in terms of building out your focus on hashtags and also your focus on getting people to interact with your brand. So that's a really, really important. And we know when it comes to this sector, there's any number of opportunities in terms of promotional offers that you can push around contests and giveaways. And work with influencers. Not the easiest thing to go and try do and quantify when it comes to the iGaming sector. And I'm not talking about big personalities. I'm not talking about getting the superstars to post on your Instagram account. This is more at an influencer level. So if there are people on the sport bet piece who are established tipsters, and you can engage with them and bring them in as an influencer piece. Again, game developers on the iGaming side of things. Think of that in the context of your own network and who you know and who you can potentially leverage to be an influencer on your Instagram account. I think that's a really, really important point. Doing this at a base level is going to set you up for success in terms of making the move beyond that into the paid post element of it. That pretty much wraps up the session in terms of Instagram. And I'll finish just by saying it is a huge opportunity for brands in the iGaming sector, both at an affiliate and at a brand level as well. The proven model is Facebook. We're seeing strong CPAs. We're seeing strong lifetime values over an extended period, not in the short term. So it is a channel to consider adding to your marketing stack when it comes to a long-term strategy to grow out your reach as an affiliate or as a brand. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. We have one question up there and one question there. Should we take the audience question first and then do the other one afterwards? Thank you.
Hello, Gavin, and thank you for a wonderful presentation. What can you tell us about the legal aspect or the legal governance? And so I'm the head of digital marketing for a Romanian sports betting and gambling company, so I'm on operator side, and we're currently facing some challenges whitelisting our page on Facebook.
Okay.
So I was wondering what are the requirements, the restrictions? I know there is a big no or like a gray area where they don't touch it. They're not so keen in I don't know, working with our industry so much, Facebook. I don't know about Instagram. No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's and it's an interesting point, and it's one that we found challenges with in terms of us as an organization working with the real game department in Facebook and Instagram as well. Our experience has been as an organization that they will, if you're partnering with somebody like us, if you're partnering with a big operator and running campaigns through that, you'll have much greater success. As a channel in of itself, there has been a lot of talk about them being a little bit slow to whitelist brands, not really getting back to you. They're very detached, and this is more. If there's anybody from Facebook or Instagram in the audience, I'd say this to themselves as well, that it's a numbers game, and a lot of the times, they're focused on where the revenue is, and they'll act quicker and come back quicker to the bigger brands where they know they're going to get hundreds of thousands or even millions when it comes to revenue. And sometimes when it comes to a vertical that they know it's going to take a bit of time, they're going to have to put a bit of effort into it, and they're kind of looking at it going, what's the cost benefit? And it almost gets pushed to one side. So you're probably not getting a definitive no, you're probably getting pushed around, not getting any clarity or anything like that. And in that instance, as to be able to go and move quickly on this, I think sometimes your best bet is, excuse the pun, to go and work with somebody on a partner basis who can give you the access to that inventory. And there's a lot of brands. I'm not here to promote AdRoll. There's an awful lot of platforms out there that can do that for you, and agencies as well who are working with the likes of Nanigans and other platforms like that as well. So there's lots of options out there rather than going direct.
Okay, should we take the one on the screen behind? Where do you find the pictures? I assume that means where could you source pictures from? Good images for sustainable costs, I guess.
Yeah. The great thing is there's an awful lot of different options. I was thinking to myself as I was walking around here today that there's an abundance of opportunities when you see the stuff that's going on here. So if there's brands that you're working here as an affiliate, if there's a brand you're working with here, the opportunity to take a lot of photography at their stand, any brand ambassadors that they have there, you can build up a book of photography from there. You also, if you're working with that partner, have the ability to get that photography from them. So either their own brand photography or photography around specific games or events that they're promoting themselves. So I would say, firstly, lean in on your partners to get access to them, lean in on the game providers through your partners to get access to that. And again, just have a think about it. We're all really, really good in our own personal way of building our own brands with photography. It's almost taking that mindset and applying it to your own business, Instagram and Facebook accounts as well. And to that point I made earlier about focusing on the craft, just do think about it. There's a lot of opportunities around that.
All right, we've got one on the board and one from the audience. Let's take can we just do the one on up there quickly? Actually, there's two more. Okay, how can you segment Instagram ads to relevant audiences?
Again, anybody who's run campaigns with Facebook, you have the same targeting opportunities. I know that the previous speaker spoke about that as well in terms of the opportunity to get very granular on your segmenting basis. So if you're familiar with the Facebook ad unit and you've run campaigns and set them up yourself, you can target based on interest, based on location, based on age, and then if you're getting it up to scale, you can build out the lookalike audiences for that. And then beyond that, if you're running multi-platform and you've got a partner that you're working with, they can, if they're dropping pixels on your page and they're getting they're getting all that data from your page, but also from your other campaigns, they'll be able to use that to be able to really profile an audience that you should be going after. I know not everybody in this room is at that stage in terms of working with agency partners and that, but again, it's starting at a small level and building out from that. My brother works he has his own chauffeur drive company, and he's put a lot of focus into trying to build out that audience piece and just think about where the business is coming from, where's the areas, location, age, interest, and using that as a starting point and trying to reach out.
Right. We'll have to be the one final question from this gentleman here.
Hello. Come back to pictures. Do stock photos work, or it's better to take your own?
Again, there's no hard and fast rules on that. Sometimes they do if you're looking at it from the point of view of that you have a really compelling offer, and in this instance the offer is the most important piece over the picture, then you can say in that instance maybe not as important. But ultimately it's a channel that is driven by visual engagement. So I would always say, where possible, try focus on getting the best picture possible. What is the best picture possible? That's the great thing about Instagram. It's incredibly subjective. So the more unique, the more different it is, the better the engagement you're going to get. So to that point, if you're taking a photo that 6 other affiliates, 7 other brands, and it's out there in a lot of other places, it's going to be quite difficult for you to try and get any sort of differentiation and focus on that. Is there an opportunity, if you take that, to maybe look at that as a jump off point to see either online or your own ability to be able to try replicate that in a different way? So again, it's a little bit about how you think about these things. I've always found the affiliate sector incredibly resourceful when it comes to being able to go and tap into new channels, new markets. And I think this process around looking at the opportunity around photography is the next natural step.
Right, I will have to draw proceedings to a conclusion there. I'm sure I didn't get to the final question, but I'm sure we can come up and ask Gavin that after the session. Thank you very much,
Cool.
Gavin. Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Cheers.
I'll see you all back here in an hour's time.